the way people ate back in, the 1700s. The second rule about a good diet, I kind of missed over that, is that you don't want to eat things very often that are dead. I've got a hamburger back there that I bought over at McDonald's. It's my second one. The cleaning staff threw out the other one. They thought someone had left it here for a year because it was over a year old. The one I've got back there now is about 6 months old. You open it up, it looks just like it came off the grill. There's virtually no mold, no fungus on it. It will not grow anything because it's dead. Okay? It's just dead. It's so preserved. And so it won't grow anything. And if it won't grow bacteria, it's not going to nourish you. So things that have long shelf life, you want to be careful about how much you eat. Now, I believe in keeping a supply of food on hand for emergencies. And I have a lot of dried things, but also I have some canned stuff. I don't make a habit of making that the core of my diet, but if it came to survival and eating that, you're better off eating that. Okay? But the big thing is that you want to eat live food, stuff that will grow yeast and mold and fungus. That's what you want to eat, but you want to eat it before it grows up, okay? That's the name of the game, but you want to eat live food. And then the third law that I have about a third rule about diet is don't be eating things that don't have natural colors. There's no such thing as green ketchup in nature. I don't eat white ketchup anyway. But you don't want to be eating these things that are fluorescent and weird colors and stuff like that. These artificial colors are not good for you. All right? So eat real food and eat food that's alive. That's how you stay healthy. How many of you ever heard of Paul Bragg? Bragg's liquid aminos, Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Paul Bragg was one of the gurus in health way back in the early 1900s and through the thing. Paul died at 92. You know how he died? Died of a surfing accident. He was riding a surfboard. 92, the guy could surf. They say when he walked down the beach in his 70s, the college girls were hitting on him. I thought, boy, what a pity. The guy looked that good because he was healthy. The way Paul ate, he had his own ranch there in Southern California. He was a naturalist. He ate everything raw. And he was pretty much vegetarian, I believe. Now, I don't recommend that you go do that route, but Paul ate everything raw, which most of us probably couldn't tolerate, but it was all the enzymes. And when you cook food and you process it, you kill the enzymes. And enzymes are what kept you alive, and that's what made him so young. And they finally got taken out because I think he bumped his head or something, he got rolled and burned or something like that. Most people at 92 couldn't even walk down the beach, much less ride a surfboard. So anyhow, we want to make sure that we keep the amount of sugar in your diet. Personally, I think as far as refined sugar goes, just eliminate it. If you're going to use sweeteners, there are things like you can have the sucanate, stevia is okay, sucralose or Splenda we do not recommend because it's made with chlorine. Splenda does, yeah. And the jury's still out. A lot of people are saying this is not safe. But the company says, oh, it's bound up, it can't get to it. Chlorine's extremely toxic. That's what they used to use in World War I to gas the troops with, was chlorine gas. It's a very powerful toxin, and that's why they put it in the water supply, which I wish they would do too. But the thing is that you don't want to use Splenda. Agave syrup, yes and no. There's some folks that have raised some interest, some concern that it's mostly a fructose-based syrup. But until we get a little bit more input on that, we're saying agave syrup is probably okay. Raw honey, again, moderation, because it's very, very sweet, but it's better than refined sugar. Sucanate, I think, is one of the best because it's got all the B vitamins, all the minerals in it. And you can buy that at places like Vitamin Cottage. You can get a bag of it and put it in one of the Ziploc cold storage things, and that's how I use it. It works pretty good. Okay? So those kinds of things you want to use, but don't use refined sugars. And you want to stay away from refined starches, which again are just abundant sugar, okay? Because these will really knock down your immune system. Okay. A third one is adrenal weakness. It's on the back of your page. Adrenal weakness. The adrenals regulate sugar metabolism. They have a lot to do with immunity and with being able to handle stress. Adrenal glands produce cortisol. In the drug world, it's called cortisone. It's powerful anti-inflammatory, but what it also does, it helps to take low sugar and bring it up. Now, one of the problems you can do, anybody here have trouble sleeping? Okay. And usually the reason for that is because your blood sugar isn't regulated, right? And what happens is that it drops, and especially at night, it drops, and then your body makes cortisol to bring that blood sugar back up. But if the adrenals kick in to do it, it doesn't just secrete cortisol, it secretes adrenaline. wake up, just boom. I'll say, whoa, what happened? It's morning, and it's only 2 or 3 o'clock, or something like that. So that's why you have trouble sleeping, or you can't get to sleep again because the blood sugar is low. And then the cortisol has to kick in from the adrenals, and you're just, you're wide awake. You feel like a man. I feel like I've already slept, and I'm just, you're wide awake. You're like, this is crazy. I've been awake for 10 hours already. I should be able to go to sleep. You can't do it because usually it's an adrenal issue, blood sugar regulation. Adrenals have a lot to do also with your immunity, indirectly for that same reason. So we want strong adrenals, and almost everybody in this country, every patient I've ever checked that's coming to my office has had adrenal issues. It's just almost like if you're American, you're going to have adrenal issues.
I recently started a program.
Yeah.
I used to wake up every morning at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That is ticking off later and later and later.
Good.
And now it's at 5.
Good. And you'll get to the point eventually where you'll be able to wake up when you're supposed to, which is around 6, 7, 8 o'clock, something like that.
No, do they get sluggish as we get older?
Well, everything gets sluggish as we get older. Everything goes south, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you can still stay healthy. You just have to do a little bit more to support you. We age like this. Most Americans age at this range. They go into a nosedive. About the time you get 40, they start going downhill pretty quick. We don't want that. That's not normal. By the time you're 80, even 90, you should still be doing fairly decent. You should be able to. You shouldn't have to be in some senior living thing wearing in the tens, and you don't know who's visiting you. That's very abnormal. It's fairly common in this country. And my thing is this: I told my wife, if I ever get dementia, I'm going to take her skydiving. But the thing is that you don't have to be this way. You can stay healthy right up to just about the time you kick the bucket, which is the way to go. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to spend my last number of years either being a burden to my children or being in a nursing home. When it's time to go, I want to go. Okay, whether I'm a little younger or very old, either way. And that's how you should go if you're living a normal kind of thing. But nowadays, most people don't, so we think it's normal only because it's common, not because it's really normal. So yes, things do slow down as we get older, but then again, your whole, it's like I tell people, I can't do what I could do when I was 18. I really don't want to anymore. I'm happy to do other things. Now I can go out and do pretty much anything I can do in terms of work. It just takes me a little longer to recover. Or I could go out and texture walls like this in my house and paint and redo stuff like I do at my home. I'd be ready the next day after a good night's sleep. Now it takes me 2 or 3 days before I'm ready to go again. And that's okay because I'm pushing 60. So that's not a bad, that's all right, that's normal, and yes, things will drop down a little bit, but it shouldn't be to the point where you can't function, you can't go out and pretty much do whatever you want to do. Unless you want a bungee cord, jump off the bridge or something, in which case you need a psychiatrist, not a nutritionist. Okay, so let's talk a little bit here about prevention and stuff and what we do. I want to divert over here a little bit to this thing here. This is kind of what I call the triangle of health. You have your health problem, whatever it is. In this case, we're talking about infectious disease. What happens to cause that? Organ dysfunction or nutritional deficiency. Dr. Linus Pauling, I don't know how many of you have heard of him, but Pauling said it was his opinion that every single disease known to mankind was basically a nutritional deficiency at one time or another, which did not endear him to the medical community. Because the guy won 2 Nobel Prizes and he had a lot of credibility. You can have an organ dysfunction occur because of a nutritional deficiency or vice versa. If your digestion is poor, you may not digest your food and absorb it well. If you don't eat the right food, you can't very well take care of your organs. Either way or both leads to a health problem. Okay? So if you have optimal nutrition and your body's functioning like it should, there's no genetic things in there that might be giving you trouble, you shouldn't get sick. Okay? That's the basic rule. It's a very simplistic concept, but it's true. And it gets a little more detailed in some ways, but this is basically how things work for us, okay? So what do we do to prevent the flu? Well, it's really a lot of common sense stuff. Eat real food, especially green vegetables. The reason being is that green food or alkaline foods will make you more alkaline.